Hey guys, welcome. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about ChatGPT and how Buzzfeed is going to be using it in their business coming up. We're also going to be talking about Microsoft and some recent layoffs, as well as remote working saving workers an average of 72 minutes per day, so stay tuned.
I can work wherever now. You can work wherever now. Take your guard and let it down, 'cause you can work wherever now. Take your guard and let it down, 'cause you can work wherever now.
What's up, guys? Welcome on into the Work Wherever podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about automation, AI, artificial intelligence, which is the same thing as AI. I got to write an actual intro because I feel like every time I say this, it's just different. But remote work and the ability to
Live
work-
every day like it's Saturday.
work wherever, so you can live every day like it's Saturday. Yeah, I might as well just say that. This is the podcast where we talk about remote work so you can live every day like it's Saturday. I don't know. We'll get to
I
it.
like it.
Yeah.
It fits the theme, I think.
It fits. So today we're breaking down. We're doing a hotspot, which what are we doing? What are the articles?
So ChatGPT again.
Yeah,
I always have a hard time saying that.
letters
but
are hard.
They are. Well, those two, like specifically together. But BuzzFeed is going to be the latest publisher to embrace it and then start using AI generated content.
Yep.
Which we've been talking a little bit about. You know, how people are kind of worried that it's going to be like taking their jobs.
Yeah, it's a
and
job sucker, right? Yeah.
creative jobs and things.
There it is.
There
There's
I
the
am.
phone.
It always happens.
That's how you know we're off to a running start. Then what are the other two?
The next one, they just released a study about how, on average, remote work saves workers 72 minutes per day. And this is like a
That's
worldwide.
globally, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then
So-
the third one was low code, no code.
Yep. Low code, no code automation, and it's how it's helping the talent shortage.
Talent shortage,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which we are a low code, no code organization. We develop Microsoft Power Apps, Power Automate, Power Virtual Agent. So we build artificial intelligence bots. We build low code, no code platforms. So these three articles specifically, which I believe even the ChatGPT is, first off, it's built on Microsoft's OpenAI platform. So it's built on Microsoft Azure using web services from Microsoft. And they're about to integrate it with Bing. So there's your Microsoft. Low code, no code is Microsoft Power Platform. It's not the only low code, no code platform builder, but that's the one that we know the most about. And then what was the other one? Remote workers,
Mm-hmm.
which we're a full remote organization. So
Yep.
if there are experts in any of those areas, we're about as close as you get. So looking forward to this one. All right, well, where are we starting?
Let's start with BuzzFeed.
Okay.
So this, and I'll post all of these articles so you guys can follow along. But it's saying BuzzFeed is the newest company to start using AI both in editorial and business operations to utilize their text generation systems to produce quizzes and
Okay.
articles and things like that.
Oh, quizzes. Right, because
Mhm, which is
BuzzFeed's like
cool.
the what Harry Potter
Yeah.
house are you?
That's, I think, how I learned about like BuzzFeed back in the day. It was like their little quizzes.
They're quizzes. Right, which
Right.
Friends character are you?
Not because
Which
they're-
Harry Potter house do you belong to? What else does BuzzFeed do?
No, not because of their reputable news, that's for sure.
It's not that.
They used to have like a ton of like cool videos and stuff, and then you kind of
They
like
did.
saw that wave of all those YouTube videos that were like, "This is why I left BuzzFeed."
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I forgot about those that were like they did like it was kind of like a reel before reels. Like it would be like a montage of like things happening. It would be like it would be like news.
Ooh, I don't know. I never watched that.
Oh, you don't remember those?
I really just remember the
Maybe.
quizzes.
I thought that was BuzzFeed. And it was like it would play a video on Facebook and it'd be like this week in the MLB, and it would show like a highlight and then it would show another thing. It was like I'm not on Snapchat, but there's the Snapchat. Don't they do like highlights or something like that?
My brother, he's an actor out in LA, but he's been in a couple of like the Snapchat like series that they
Is that
have.
what they're called?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's been in like some like crime ones. It's funny, like they'll hire actors to like do these like things on Snapchat,
Interesting.
which you wouldn't think, but
Snapchat's one of those tech companies. They're in Silicon Valley, so they're out in San Francisco. Is that where your brother lives in the Bay Area? You said L.A.
LA.
LA.
Yeah.
So the Bay Area, Silicon Valley, which is, if you're a tech company, a lot of commercial application companies are born in Silicon Valley. It's like the heart of applications. Twitter, Snapchat, what Uber I think was there, Lyft, like Netflix. There's a whole show, Silicon Valley. Have you seen Silicon Valley on HBO? Do you have HBO?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a comedy, right?
It's a comedy.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
A little bit of it.
Yeah.
I remember like the one big scene where they're doing like the math problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny. And I don't know. Maybe I'm sure everybody who's listening to this, our audience probably thinks that show's hilarious because it's very tech nerdy, like it's a nerdy funny comedy. It's about Silicon Valley, and it's kind of like a workplace comedy. You know, you get a lot of workplace comedies. NBC just came out with a new workplace comedy called American Auto. Have you seen that? It's not very good. I started watching it just because I think workplace comedies are hilarious, so I started watching it, and it's not that good. It's kind of dumb, but Silicon Valley, the TV show, was a workplace comedy about startups in Silicon Valley. So it follows somebody who's trying to, I think it's like Paid Piper or Pied Piper is the name of the startup company, and they're just like a Dropbox, essentially.
Gives me like workaholic vibes.
It is. It's pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, BuzzFeed used to do videos about different industries and stuff like that. And Snapchat has kind of taken that over a little bit with their stories or whatever. Like I said, I haven't been on, I don't go on Snapchat, so, but they have those feeds, at least they used to, where it would be like this week in the MLB and it would show like clips, like snap length clips. Instagram stories kind of does it a little bit with like news feeds, but BuzzFeed kind of did that way before Snap, way before Instagram or any of them.
I never knew that. I knew them from like their like actual video content, like you know, like the Try Guys or something like that.
I don't know what that is. What's Try Guys?
It's like a group of like a bunch of guys, and they would just like try stuff out. But they were huge, and they just were huge again because one of the guys was not so great.
Oh,
Google that.
he wasn't a good person.
No.
Imagine that. Imagine an internet celebrity not being a good person.
Google
I
that.
can't
It was a
even
thing
fathom
like
that.
2 months ago, and everybody's like, "What is Try Guys?" It was all over.
Wow. It does. I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all. Internet celebrities, they're all fake. They're all. I mean, most of them like, they're not who they say they are.
Right.
Most of them, if not all of them, are not who they say they are. It's all an act. It's all them trying to just appease their fan base. That most of them are just paid subscription people, and that they have paid some bot to follow them. It's crazy. Which is another good documentary that I watched, Fake Famous. Have you seen that?
Mm-mm.
Crazy. It's crazy. It's about this. They try to build an influencer by buying hundreds of thousands of followers. And so they bought like 150,000 followers, like purchased them, you know, and then took these like pictures that made her look like an influencer. And then she started getting endorsement deals, and then from the fake follower base. And then eventually the algorithm read her as an influencer and started pumping her. So she had like 300 and some followers, 150 of them or so were fake, just bots. But she had built an audience plus that, like more than that, through the algorithms. You see that a lot on like the fake fake accounts. But
Well,
yeah,
it's like
BuzzFeed.
Elon's big thing, right? Coming in, getting rid of like the bots and stuff.
That was a lot of Elon's push for Twitter. So BuzzFeed, yeah, that's. And so what are they doing? They're right, because they used to have a blog too. It was like top 10. They do a lot of top 10 lists, don't they?
Yeah.
Top 10 places to travel during the summer, that kind of stuff, which is it's just it's just
Right.
ChatGPT. I mean,
Right. It's just very like skewed now. So I think people have kind of
right? Like, let's just let the bot
went
do it.
away from it.
Plus, there's no way that BuzzFeed's making any money.
No. So this is saying, so this announcement comes after they just laid off 12% of its newsroom in December.
Right. I mean, who reads BuzzFeed anymore?
Nobody.
Nobody.
No.
I didn't even like BuzzFeed. To me was like, what was that? Bleacher Report. Is Bleacher
Or
Report
like
still
the
a
Onion.
thing? The Onion is not. Yeah, it's kind of like the Onion. The Onion's like
Please don't
fake
take it
funny.
seriously.
At least Onion. The Onion has a lane. At least
Right.
it's like it's
No.
a parody stuff.
BuzzFeed is like really serious about it and like
Right. They're like, take us serious. We're BuzzFeed. And you're like, what?
yikes.
What was that show? Or that not a show? It was an internet website. It was called E-Bombs World. Do you remember E-Bombs World?
A little bit, yeah.
That's BuzzFeed. I feel like BuzzFeed like was at war with like E-Bombs World and won, and then they were like, oh
Is
crap.
there news on E-Bombs World?
They had shows. They had like clips. It was
Remember they used to
basically
have
like
that Will Ferrell
yeah,
like little
Funny or
girl,
Die.
Pearl. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I think of it.
Which I think Funny or Die
don't
still
remember.
exists. Funny or Die,
Right.
I think, is the best thing that came out of E-Bombs World.
I don't remember news on it though.
And Funny or Die still is around because they got
Right.
Will Ferrell. But before Will Ferrell, Funny or Die, E-Bombs World was basically just like Instagram. Like it was just a feed of
Interesting.
nonsense where you went to like find your gifs. You know,
Yeah.
like back before the internet, like people really figured out how to use the internet. So yeah, BuzzFeed replaces their workforce with ChatGPT. Generally speaking, I would be like, this is a stupid move. Why are you replacing people with ChatGPT? Dumb. But BuzzFeed, it makes sense. Now, laying off 12% of
Right.
their workforce, now whoever's left, or you said News Force, whoever's left is probably the ones who are actually trying to do like real journalism. And the ones that they laid off are probably real journalism. Sorry.
Right.
The BuzzFeed, whatever they do, I don't know what they do, but whoever they laid off were probably the ones who are making like top 10 lists. And there's probably not they probably still have a few of them that they kept on that do top 10 lists because somebody still has to use ChatGPT and kind of expand upon the lists. They just won't have to put as much creative thought into making the lists.
So somebody in this article, he says, we squishy meat sacks is what he refers to. I suppose
What?
the humans that live there,
Squishy meat
that work
sacks.
there,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
would serve as idea sources for AI text generators
Right.
or his own species as cultural currency and inspired prompts.
Mm. So they have the pulse on trends of pop culture,
Mm-hmm.
and then they would ask trendy topics to ChatGPT to produce the lists and quizzes.
Mm-hmm.
Because they would have to ask ChatGPT, what Friends character are you, in order for it to produce the list, and they would have to know that people care about Friends based on the ratings.
Right.
in
But this
order
is
to
saying
create that.
it could provide more personalized answers based on the user's more specific responses rather than based on a score range or ranked choice system like they are today.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because the more that you use ChatGPT, it's learning from you, and it's learning based on your scores. So it could just prompt something that that ChatGPT believes that the end user wants to hear. Could backfire. I still think a lot of this ChatGPT stuff is going to backfire. I don't think that you're going to be able to use it to replace marketing, or like we had Alex Vonderhaar on talk about SEO. So a big part of SEO is unique response and unique writing of a blog. So if I write a blog and I'm typing, all of my words are unique characters, well, unless I've plagiarized. But if you copy and paste an article and paste it onto your website, the internet reads it as not unique, and so you'll score lower in your SEO. At least in theory, you're supposed to. So if everyone is searching for the same ChatGPT blog articles to post, then they're going to have similar blog posts. And in theory, that would hurt your SEO. I don't think we're there yet because this technology is 3 months old.
Right. I went on there the other day to use it, and it said it was full. It's
Yeah.
like, come back later.
Right. And so if you're BuzzFeed, what do you do
All right,
then?
guess not.
Right. What do you just laid off 12% of your workforce so that the bot could tell you that you're not allowed in the chat room?
Right.
Like, what are you
Right.
supposed to do then?
It's like, we'll email you when you can get back in.
Right. We'll let you know.
Cool.
Like, what? Okay.
Just do
All right.
something else for now.
Right. I guess I'll go pretend to do my job over here. So yeah, it's what do you do? What does BuzzFeed
Right.
do? The people are just going to pretend to be on the keyboard like, "Don't worry, boss." Like what do you do?
I feel like that happens there anyways.
If your whole job is to ask ChatGPT questions and ChatGPT is down. Now ChatGPT is in beta right now.
Mm.
Which
Yeah.
I think we talk about that on another podcast.
Yeah.
It's just it's in beta right now.
Right.
So that means that they could take it down and throw it away at any point. They could be like, "Nah, didn't do what we wanted it to do. It doesn't fit the market to the point we wanted it to." It doesn't look like any of that's going to happen, but beta is for a select period. It's select users. It's a controlled release. It's not a full release deployment of the application. It is released to a controlled group. That's what a beta release is. And it could totally take it off. Or I did see today that ChatGPT is releasing a paid subscription monthly.
Mm.
Did you see that?
No.
It'd be $50 a month. So
I mean, makes sense for them.
right. You're using their platform. They have to pay for this somehow. The server usage is going to go through the roof. So they'll end up making a ton of money off of it.
Yeah.
And businesses who are laying somebody off that maybe you are paying them $40, $50, $60,000, you're saving money by paying $50 now. Even if you have to buy multiple subscriptions, you're still saving money.
Right. Right. And part of why I grabbed this article at the end here, it just said BuzzFeed isn't alone. They're part of like this huge group of businesses, obviously, that are moving to this ChatGPT movement. And then it says here, Microsoft announced this week a multi-year, multi-billion-dollar investment into OpenAI's text generation systems.
Right.
Exactly 2 days before announcing that they would be laying off 10,000 people.
10,000 people. Does it say where they're laying the people off from? Like what sections of the business? I'd be interested to know if you could find that, because we looked into these layoffs. Now Microsoft hid for a while from layoffs while Twitter was laying people off, and Amazon and Netflix and Twitter, or I already said Twitter, but who else? Lyft, Uber, Snapchat, all kinds of people were laying people off. And I believe I went on a podcast and was like, look, Microsoft isn't laying people off,
Right.
which I'll eat that crow a little bit. But those were because, and I still believe, it was based on the new technologies. The OpenAI technology is built on Microsoft Azure. Microsoft has these low-code, no-code platforms. So I believe that if, there is a business structure to build on, it is building on low-code, no-code developers and keeping your people intact. Where Microsoft probably laid people off, because where they're struggling a little bit, is in hardware. And I would be interested
Trying to
if
look
it was
here. I'm
hardware.
not seeing it.
That's what happened with Amazon. Amazon, when they made their layoffs, which they did 2 rounds of layoffs, if you remember, they laid off customer service and hardware, which hardware for them is,
Okay, you're right here.
what does it say?
The company is facing slower PC and cloud sales.
Yep. PC, hardware.
Mm-hmm.
People are not buying computers like they used to. And that's because the
And
computers...
that's why we're doing a contest at
That's
work.
right. That's why. Right. And now, I mean that as in the individual consumer. So, the individual consumer is not going into Best Buy and buying computer machines like they used to. Gaming PCs and stuff like that, those were huge. And people would go and they'd buy these super gaming computers. And people are still doing that, but the people who are serious about gaming now are building their own.
Building their own.
Or they're using, the Xboxes and the PS5s and stuff like that. They've gotten so much more powerful that they can compete with PCs now. So you're seeing hardware sales in the gaming industry go down a little bit. And then more so, how many Alexas and Cortana devices do you really need in your house? We've seen Alexa devices and these Google Home devices. They've been around now for years, probably close to a decade. Maybe not quite a decade, but pretty dang close. How many do you need? Are you really upgrading your Echo Dot to like Gen 7? Do you really care because the speaker's that much better?
Right.
So at some point, you accelerated your growth in those areas to sell more dots, to sell more Cortana, to sell more PCs, and now people are like, I'm good. I have a powerful PC. It doesn't need to turn over like it used to. You're starting to see that Surface devices, which Microsoft put a ton of money into recently, are compatible now. They have a good product. Whereas prior to, the Surface product was shit. It was awful. It ran its own operating system. You couldn't get the same Windows, the Windows 10 type of applications or the Windows 8, which Windows 8 was a beta product. So you had these like Surface specific applications, whereas now the Surface devices are essentially just PCs that are built as tablets or whatever, you know. And Surface devices are doing well, but you don't have to constantly upgrade them like you would your phone.
Right.
So it doesn't surprise me at all that Microsoft laid off, what was it,
10,000.
10,000. And they're investing into Microsoft OpenAI, which is in that same article because ChatGPT, which Buzzfeed and all these other companies are starting to turn to, is built on Microsoft OpenAI, which is that text reader, speech reader, image reader. There's like 7 different tools within OpenAI, which text reader is the one that ChatGPT uses to build this. Is that the one that they said they were investing the $1 billion into?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which they have speech reader, image reader. So like the image reader one, if you upload an image of a fox 10,000 times, then using their smart cameras, which we have one upstairs actually. We have one of their AI cameras. Then you can train a camera to recognize a fox. So you could have a trap set with an AI camera, and then if your dog runs by, it knows that it's a dog, not a fox, so nothing happens. And then if it sees a fox, then it'll kill it. You know, whereas you're starting to see people who built beta with those cameras around cat doors. Mm-hmm. So it'll let your cat in, but it won't let a wild animal in.
Okay.
And you just have to upload a bunch of pictures of your cat.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And so that's the visual reader, but the text reader is the one that is on fire right now. So no surprise there that Microsoft investing how much money?
Billions.
Yeah, billions with a B.
Yeah. Multi-billion.
They're not stupid, but if you're going to invest all that money, I guess you got to lay some people off. I guess you got to find the billions of dollars somewhere. That sucks for those people. And they're in hardware, so they're probably salesmen.
Right.
Sales or customer service is what I would guess. You said that it was PC hardware, and what was the other one?
Cloud.
Cloud. Azure. Cloud sales. Cloud sales, here's my projection for the next 5 years. Cloud sales and cloud will become more expensive, and people will turn back to on-premise storage, where everybody now should have a cloud strategy. If you don't have a cloud strategy by now, you don't exist. There's no way you made it through 2020, the pandemic. There's zero chance that you made it through and didn't have a cloud strategy. Now, your cloud strategy might be, well, we use Microsoft 365, or we use Google Suite, or we use Dropbox, or we use SharePoint. That might be your cloud strategy. But you're using the cloud in some form or fashion. As you grow and scale, the cloud, if everybody moves to cloud will become more expensive for the cloud providers. Whereas the whole sell, the CapEx versus OpEx, so operating expenses versus capital expenses, the reason why is you move from a capital expense, meaning I have to pay for the servers, the air conditioning, the electricity, the structure, the security in which to maintain servers so that I can have data running to power my business. That all costs money. That's called capital expense. You move capital expense to operating expense, meaning how much storage do I actually need to run these mission critical applications? That's operating expense. So you're moving capital expense or CapEx to operating expense or OpEx by moving to the cloud. Sooner or later, the operating expense of how much it costs to run your mission critical applications in the cloud will far exceed capital expense that would be to purchase a server. At some point, it's going to happen. And you'll start to see this shift back to people buying their own servers to run things. You'll be like, oh, well, I don't need the cloud. I just need a small little server. Similar to people, whereas before it was like, well, I don't really need a new server. I can just go into the cloud for burst. So burst is how cloud came on, where you had server rooms, and then you were like, well, I just need it for instances like Black Friday when things happen and we have an unusual amount of traffic, so I'll purchase some cloud hosting so that during those times my site doesn't go down. So I have burst, so it'll flex into the cloud so that I don't lose visitors. It's going to go the other way around, where it's because that's how cloud came in. Well, I'll just purchase this a little bit. And sooner or later, it's going to be the other way. You have everything in the cloud, and you're like, well, I want to control some of my data, and I don't want all my data to be in the cloud in case I have to like shut down subscriptions or whatever. And so I want to control some of mission critical data. So I'm going to have my own server, and you're going to start buying small servers. So I think this trend from Microsoft laying off cloud people, I think eventually you're going to start to see the trend, the pendulum swing back the other way. I don't think we'll ever get back to everybody doing business on-prem again, but data is the new gold. And soon businesses are going to start realizing that, where they're like, holy crap, I just gave Microsoft or Amazon or Google or Blue Ocean or whoever they're using as their cloud provider all of my data. And now I have to pay them a subscription for the rest of my being in order to have that data, have access to that data. I control nothing. At some point, they're going to realize that and wake up and say, I need a server. Even if it's a small-ass server, you're going to put your mission-critical CRM information, your customer data, whatever it is, on a small server somewhere as your backup. That'll come back. Because everybody has cloud now. What do you need an Azure sales rep for? Plus, that's a partner network. That's why people like us exist.
Right.
So, interesting. I'm not making excuses for Microsoft. It's predictable. We saw this happen last year with Amazon, and we said that makes sense. And now we saw that same trend with Microsoft, which Amazon laid off 12,000, Microsoft laid off 10,000. That's essentially the same thing. It's essentially the same layoff. So, good on BuzzFeed, I guess, for moving to ChatGPT. I think it's a shame that they're laying off 12% of their employee base, but they're probably doing it to stay open. I mean, who reads BuzzFeed anymore? I didn't even know BuzzFeed was still around
for a while.
I didn't even know it was still around. I do occasionally Google so I have kids, and we did which Harry Potter house are you? Have you ever done one of those before?
Yeah.
Are you a big Harry Potter?
I
you
like
messaged
it.
on my post the other day
You
where
spelled Gryffindor
I
wrong.
spelled
You're like,
Gryffindor
I'm the
wrong.
biggest fan ever.
I didn't say I
you
was the
spelled
biggest
it wrong.
fan ever. I just said, I went to the Harry Potter
A Harry Potter store. That's
store
right.
in New York.
I do really like it.
It was pretty cool, the store. It had 2 levels, and they had like these wands where you could like cast spells on smartphones.
And different things do things.
And like the things do things.
Mm-hmm.
I got all the kids like hats of all the different
awesome.
houses, and which I know which houses they are because we did a BuzzFeed.
I feel like I'm like Hufflepuff or something.
Eleanor's Hufflepuff.
I can see that.
It's a very female house. Avery was Slytherin, and Chase was Ravenclaw.
Okay.
I got Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
So, after I just called it a female house, it is.
Makes sense.
I am Hufflepuff. I don't know. Does it make sense? Makes sense.
Okay.
Female house, of course you would get it, Roy. I did get Hufflepuff. Yeah.
I'm kidding.
All right, what do we got next?
Low code, no code. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Apps and development It's all kind of the same thing. So how automation, low code, no code, can fight the talent shortage?
Yeah. First off, I don't think there's a talent shortage. I think that is a myth. There's no talent shortage. I think there is. Now some people will be like, "Oh, well, the people are retiring early, and oh, well, the government is just handing out paychecks and people aren't going back to work." And no, we had too many jobs where people were working multiple jobs. And then people went to COVID, and now people don't have to have multiple jobs anymore. And they're like, why the hell would I go back to making pennies to kill myself, to go back to work 3 jobs? I don't need to do that anymore. So I don't necessarily think that there's a talent shortage. I think that, one, I think that people don't want to work for crappy businesses anymore. And 2, I think that we are still in the Great Resignation. I think people are just leaving. And people are just like, I don't want to work for you.
Yeah.
Which I think this whole talent shortage, there's tons of talent out there. We just put out another job for an HR assistant. I had so many people apply to that LinkedIn took it down. You saw that.
Mm-hmm.
We had it up for, what did we have it up for, like 20 minutes?
Right.
And what did LinkedIn say? Like we had to pay them or something like that?
Pay for more applicants.
Yeah. Why would I pay for more? I just have 32
30
people.
here that are good. I mean, HR remote, you can't go wrong.
32 applicants though in 20 minutes, and LinkedIn shut down our job post.
Mm-hmm. I think the other one's almost closed too, or it is already.
Which we had more than 30 people apply to that one too, or close to 30.
Close to.
Yeah. Whereas the last time we were hiring, we had 70 applicants. So, are we some anomaly of a business that, if I just mention that we're hiring on a stand-up call, every single one of you guys is like, I got a friend, I got this person, I got that person, I got that. So, is it that we have a talent shortage, or is that people just don't want to work shitty jobs anymore?
I think that's it.
I think that's it too. I think people just don't want to work for crappy managers, and they want to work for somebody who actually cares about them. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I tell you guys every morning. I'm like, hey, like, if you guys want to leave, then, I hope you don't.
You're all replaceable.
I do tell you guys that, don't I? I do say that. It's kind of like tongue in cheek a little bit when I say that.
We take it lightly. We know you're kidding.
Yeah, but I do say that. You're not special. You're all replaceable. That's true. I do say that. I mean it kind of as a joke. But what I do mean seriously when I tell you guys is, if you go somewhere else, you're a number, and people don't care about you. I've been in that position. Before I started Capital Presence, I worked for other companies, and I was a chop shop number. They didn't give a shit. They didn't care. I talked to them like twice a year on my annual reviews, and I had some person who I didn't even really know telling me if my performance was adequate.
Mm-hmm. I will say we were filling out. We got nominated for Washington Business Journal's like
third time
best place to work for the 3rd year. So I was filling it out, and it was so easy to write.
Yeah.
It's like, well, why did you put that?
Right.
Do you feel like your company cares about you? And it was so easy to just like fill everything
You didn't feel
out.
like you were making stuff up or lying?
No, not at all.
Right.
Normally you'd be like kind of stumped, like, I don't know, like what do
here.
they really do? But I was like,
Well, good.
this is their motto.
I mean, we
like
try really hard
Yeah.
to build a good culture, and we mean it when we say culture. It's not ping pong tables and pizza parties,
So I went to the office. We do have it like an office for a mailbox.
Yeah.
Not that we work there if we needed to. But I went to pick up the mail today, and there was one lady that I had met before.
Yeah.
And I think she was just so excited to see another human being. We talked for like 30 minutes.
She was our old neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
So we did used to have a physical office. We no longer have a physical office, which that'll get into our next article. But we did have a physical office, and we build low code, no code solutions, which is what this is talking about, and it is using low code, no code to support the, what do they call it? Job shortage?
Talent shortage.
Talent shortage, right? Talent shortage. Part of the talent shortage of low code, no code is nobody knows how to use low code, no code, and there aren't low code, no code developers out there, and so people
Explain low code, no code for somebody who would have no idea what it is.
Yeah. So low code, no code
Briefly.
is from Microsoft. It is a specific language called PowerFX, and so PowerFX is Power Functions. It's very similar to Excel. So if you've ever used Excel and you write, equals sum, open parentheses, select my data set, close, and it gives you the sum. That's low code. I didn't write some crazy code to pull. There are built-in functions, is what they're called, that pull information and present information. Then you have different elements that are already created by the programs out there. I'm going to use Microsoft Power Apps as the example because that's what we use to develop rapid applications. So when you go to create a new application, you create a mobile app or a tablet app, or you could build a model-driven application, which is a desktop application essentially. But we typically use Canvas apps is what they're called, and you build a mobile application or a tablet application. And so when you choose tablet application, the screen will already be the size of a tablet, which you can change the different ones. You could choose like, I'm building this for iPads, I'm building this for whatever, and it'll change the screen based on that. So you don't have to write that code. And then it'll be like add a button, and you click insert button, and a button will pop up. And then you click on the button and you click over on the color swatch and you change the color of the button, right? It's like a drag and drop type of development. That would be no code. If there was no code involved, you are clicking and dragging buttons to do things, right?
Something that someone like me could learn how to do
Exactly.
in an afternoon.
Like Canva. Canva is another example of, that would be a no-code platform. You're not coding anything, but you're building things to be presented on the internet, right? I believe that you can add interactions in Canva, right? If you click here, it'll play or something like that. That's no code. There's no code involved. You're just doing it. So no code would be click and drag, point, add a button. When you click this button, it goes to this URL. No code involved. Low code is when you add in the elements of functions, like the Excel functions for Power Automate. It's called PowerFX. And so you'd be like, on this button, when you on select, go to this page, and then comma, transition dot screen swipe, or transition fly in, or something like that, right? Where that's the animation that you're associating with, right? That would be the function that you're writing in. But then you can add in like APIs and queries and filters and patch commands where you're sending information places. So that's the low code elements of the no code. So you can do it no code. If you wanted to build a Power App with no code, you can do it because it integrates into SharePoint. They won't look very good, but you can do it. But then the low code elements is where you're building these applications that otherwise would have taken years to develop.
Right. So you're not in need of these crazy software engineers, developers anymore.
And so that's where this is talking about talent shortage. The talent shortage is people don't know how to use these programs.
Right.
We've been building Power Apps for 7 years. So anybody who works for me knows how to build a Power App. And I am damn good at Power Apps, which, not to toot my own horn or anything like that, but according to LinkedIn and Microsoft, I'm top 15% in the world. But
really,
I am. So you can go to my LinkedIn page and read that, actually. But I took a quiz and it ranked me, not like I just am pushing it out there. But prior to Power Apps and Power Automate, which we were going after a federal contract not too long ago. I'm not going to say who the company was or anything like that. And we ended up winning the contract. And I was like, we need X amount of Power Apps developers, X amount of Power Automate developers. And I'm talking, we have these people, but I know that it's split multiple ways and companies. This is what you need to be looking for. And the person was like, Power Automate? Well, that's only been out for a year. I'm like, oh my God. Right?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I guess
I think
maybe.
they're far ahead, but sometimes the government is so far behind.
Well, that was not the government spending. That was a commercial
Oh.
company. The industry doesn't know how long low-code, no-code platforms have been out. They don't know. And so if you don't know the software exists and you think the software has only been out for a year, how are you training people on how to use it? You're not. And so the developers, this talent shortage is a lot of these developers were SharePoint developers who were using things like Nintex, InfoPath, SharePoint Designer, all of which was archived out by Microsoft 2022, 2021. This is old tech. And so as this old tech expires and goes out, you have all these JavaScript developers. Then nobody wants you to be a full developer anymore if you're developing in Microsoft or some of these softwares.
So this Department of Labor estimates that the global shortage of software engineers may reach 85.2 million by 2030. More than 4 out of 5 businesses cannot attract or retain their software developers or engineers. In response, the average company obviated the need for hiring 2 IT developers by using low-code, no-code tools.
Yeah. So we stopped hiring senior developers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do it anymore.
Yeah, all of our postings are junior.
They all.
Yeah.
Because I can build a low-code, no-code developer into a mid-level senior developer in 18 months. That's me. Other companies can't do that. And so they're having to go out and they're having to go hire somebody and pay them $150K to come in there and honestly screw their systems up by developing JavaScript and their own, full code applications that are going to be obsolete here in a couple of years. It's bad. Bad if you're doing that. Now, I think it's a bad idea. I think it's a bad idea. Now, if you turn to low-code, no-code, which is where all these big platforms are headed, okay, is robotic process automation, low-code, no-code. This is where everything is going, okay? That's where Zapier comes in, or Zapier, whatever you want to call it, or if you're in the Microsoft world, Power Automate. Like, these are these low-code, no-code, robotic process automation, if this, then that type functionality. You don't need these crazy developers to do that stuff anymore. Now, if you're building some, huge enterprise applications, you might still need a developer, okay? But if you're talking about day-to-day process automation and building your tools to say, when I upload a document, go do this and collect a signature, you don't need a developer for that anymore, like a crazy developer. You can train somebody up in it. And if you want to learn this stuff, I recorded a whole course on it at online365.academy, and for $50 a month, if you took that course, and if you went through that whole course 2 or 3 times, I guarantee you could get a job. Guarantee you get a job. Not only would you get a job in the IT low-code, no-code industry, you would be making good money at it and have multiple offers. That's why all the people who work for me, all the developers right now, including you, everybody who works for us who just understands low-code, no-code, you guys don't understand how set you are. And you could go work somewhere else, and you go work for somebody who doesn't understand low-code, no-code, and they don't understand the platforms, and you would sit there and you won't learn another thing for the rest of your career. And if that's what you want to do, go do it. Or you can continue to work for us, and you'll learn the next wave of shit, like model-driven applications, Power Virtual Agents. You'll learn how to build an AI. You'll learn how to build these applications that run off machine learning from no internet, like we talked about today, those edge stacks, Microsoft Edge Stack. We are light years ahead of companies. Now companies are saying low code, no code. When did this come out? When was the article?
This week, a couple days ago.
That is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Low code, no code is 7-8 years old.
So they're predicting by, let's see here, 41, nope. 2026, 44.5 billion it's projected to grow.
The industry?
Low-code development technologies.
That's us. Mm-hmm. That's what we do. And we are the best at it. I am 1,000% confident saying there is not a company who is better than us at low code, no code on the entire East Coast. There's not a single company. And there is no talent shortage that we are dealing with because we train our own people.
Right.
So if you are dealing with a talent shortage, you need to get into low code, no code.
Figure out what you're doing.
And if you don't want to hire somebody, then come talk to us and we'll hook y'all up. And if you do want to figure out what you're doing, then you won't have a talent shortage. It's as simple as that. Learn. How can you hire for any position if you don't know what it is? How could you do that?
Right.
When you started at the winery, were they just like, hey, you're gonna host wedding events and you're gonna have to figure it out?
Kinda. I mean, I never had done a wedding myself before.
They did
I went
training
to school
for you?
for it.
They didn't provide you any training?
I was an intern there, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah. But
I had never done a wedding, but I got that job because I was an intern.
Yeah. But as an intern, you shadowed people and you learned, and I'm sure you went
Right.
through some sort of training program.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they didn't just throw me into it.
They weren't just like, hey, we need a wedding planner.
Here's the first one. You go.
You.
No.
Figure it
They
out.
made me do a few by myself
Right.
or with somebody.
With somebody. And that's how low code, no code, that's how we do it.
Right.
I hire somebody, you work with me,
Mm-hmm.
you work with one of my other people, you learn, I'm Mr. Miyagi and you're Danielson, and you will learn, and you will learn very fast. So much so that I took somebody who was a teacher, just found this out actually. He was a teacher, had no low code, no code experience. I took him under my wing, taught him how to low code, no code, and he just won an award. He got the
Really?
I Care Award at the Veteran Affairs.
Nice.
He
And
just texted me.
You got that a few years ago.
I
right?
got that when I was my first contract.
I read that in your bio.
That's,
Go work wherever.
every person that works for me, that
He cares, guys.
I will train you up. Go to online365.academy and that's my training program right there on demand.
There you go.
You will learn, and you will be sought after by all these companies that are trying to turn to low code, no code because they don't know what the hell they're doing.
I do like the end of this article. It sums it up. It's saying that by 2025, Microsoft anticipates that 500 million apps its experts will be created over the next 5 years. 450 million. Okay, so out of 500 million apps,
Yeah.
450 million will be designed
low-code.
on low-code
Yeah.
and no-code platforms.
Totally believe it.
And then for these platforms to develop the full market potential, they're projected to the following 6 areas need to see continual innovation, including designing and incorporating AI and machine learning.
Yep, we're there.
Constructing low-code platforms that allow for real-time iteration.
Yep.
Implementing a consistent infrastructure and architectural strategy that seamlessly integrates with DevOps workflows.
Yep.
Improving the ability to scale and support data-centric, process-centric
Yeah.
development
Cloud,
cycles.
yeah.
Increasing the focus in API development on improving integration with on-premise and cloud-based data.
Yeah, that's a big one.
And ensuring the same code line can support multiple personas, including frameworks, app templates, and tools.
Yeah, Microsoft is investing a ton into their application framework around power functions, power effects. That's new. It wasn't called power effects before. They used multiple different languages. APIs is huge because you can't have low code, no code if you don't have adequate APIs. You have to be able to get the data in. So the faster and better you can get the data in, the more that you can do with it on a low code, no code. And then if you can't grab the APIs, then you have to resort to other types of like JSON, and that's where you need an actual developer. So those all make sense to me.
I think we hit those too.
We do.
That's really good.
And you can go to ChatGPT and ask it to develop a JSON to pull a specific set of code, which
You did something this morning, right?
I did do that. I wrote a function for pulling an API. Yeah, I did.
There you go. It will literally write functions for you.
Yeah.
It will do the work for you.
It's crazy.
You
Now,
can use this tool to use another tool and
Right.
become an expert.
It's crazy. But yeah, I think what's next for low code, no code is web services, so cloud web services. So it just said that 400,000 of the next 500,000, or I'm sorry, 400 million of the next.
450 million out of 500 million.
So the next 450 million applications will be developed with low code, no code. Those other 50 million applications will be your traditional cloud applications through like web services and stuff like that. And so I think that's next. I think soon you'll be able to build an AI, like a reader, a scanner, you know, through a low code, no code platform. You can already do that with a QR reader. Power Apps has a QR reader AI plugin that you can drop and drag low code, no code, where you could have a inventory scanner app through a QR where you just walk around a warehouse and beep, 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 check in. It's already available in low code, no code. And I think that you're going to see that accelerate over the next couple of years. All right, what's the third article? I like this. This is fun.
The last
I'm nerding
one,
out today, Sid.
It's okay. It's a good. I think it's a good departure from.
From robots that are
Killer
trying to murder
robots.
you? We'll have to
Yeah.
get back to it at some point. I got to put my tinfoil hat back on.
So this one here, remote work based. So there is a new study that just came out. Globally, they found that remote workers saved an average of 72 minutes in commute time every day in 2021 and 2022. And what they spent their extra time on was surprising.
Drum roll.
Extra work.
Yeah, go figure.
Yeah.
It's like everything that we've been saying. It's like we should just have like a "told you so" button.
Right.
We need to get like a "told you so" button. You know, like the Staples easy button. I was like, that was easy.
Roy tried to staple my head today.
I did.
He shot a staple at my head
Oh my gosh.
from a staple gun.
Yeah, sorry, Evan. I almost
It's
killed your
fine.
future bride. Yeah, we added some things to the studio here. We're making some studio improvements because we're doing more and more on YouTube, and we're gonna have multiple cameras.
I like this lighting. It
It's
makes
good,
me
right?
look tan. You
It
need
makes you
one
look
of
tan?
these lights over there for you.
Do I look tan? I look super. There's
No.
no way I look tan.
I look like a totally different race than you.
I look totally pale.
It's fine.
So much so that when we were in Nashville last for our family vacation, people at the bar did not believe that my brother and I were related because they said that I was too pale to be related to my brother. True story. It's just I don't know.
You sound exactly the same though.
I think so too. I was like, just listen to our voices.
No, you literally sound the exact same.
Yeah, we
It
sound-
always freaks me out when I hear him talk because I just picture your face.
Yeah. Well, hey. Sorry, Christopher. My pale ass face is what people think of when they hear your voice. So the what was that? Oh, staple. So we're making all
Right.
these studio improvements, which we got a palm tree.
I like it.
I know you would like that. I when I was looking for things I was like, Sydney wants a palm tree. I'll get a.
Well, there's palm trees in our sign.
There is palm trees, yeah. It makes
Yeah.
sense. So we added a bunch of things. We got new microphones. Sydney's mic is new. It's a new Shure mic. That's why she sounds so good. We added these pictures. We added uplighting all around the studio. We got another GoPro. So now we have 2 GoPros. So we're going to have 3 cameras, which will go back and forth. We're investing a lot into YouTube. So if you guys watch us, go to the at YouTube or youtube.com @Capital Presence on YouTube and watch us because we're putting a ton into this. We totally redid Sydney's desk and everything like that. And so I had to staple a cord to the ceiling, and I shot a staple at Sydney by accident, obviously. I was using a staple
It
gun,
grazed my hair.
and it barely missed her head. Otherwise, she'd be dead right now.
I just hear.
Yeah,
was like, "What?"
I didn't mean to.
It's okay. I'll be fine.
So, but that's what this whole podcast was built on, was remote work. That's why it's called the Work Wherever podcast, is because when we first started this podcast, we were like, we are going to talk about things that boosts this remote work culture, which is all built on low-code, no-code applications, which is all built on artificial intelligence and robotic process automation and all these different tools that now we've gotten to be able to talk about because, a year ago when we had this idea to rebrand the application or the podcast, we already knew these things existed. We were like, more people need to learn about this. And now it's all starting to come out, and we look like geniuses to be like, oh, wow, we have this podcast. Yeah. And
It's definitely a podcast about also how to get to working wherever.
right.
Yes,
How to
it's
get to
super
that
cool.
point. Right.
And you can work from your RV or whatever.
That is
But
the
you can't
point.
do that if you don't have these things in place.
Yeah, it's not possible.
It's not possible. So
you'd be stupid.
you need a little background.
Yeah, you need to be able to understand the technology that we're talking about
Right.
so that you can implement it into your business so that you can go work from a beach or the Kentucky Derby like us or wherever, literally wherever you want, including locations that don't have internet, which that's our next push. But yeah, go figure. In America, how much was it? You said worldwide it was how much, 100 hours?
72 minutes. Worldwide, China had the most, 102 minutes per day, which makes sense, I guess. They
Because of
probably
their
have
commute. Yeah.
more traffic.
Yeah.
But in the U.S., it was 55 minutes a day,
Which is just about an hour.
which for us, like when I was doing it, was 2
I had
hours.
a longer
2
than-
hours a
yeah.
day.
That's all around the United States.
Right.
I guarantee it's more here
Way
in the
more
DC
here.
area, LA, New York, Chicago, the high traffic areas.
Mm-hmm.
Because my commute, when I did have to commute, was more than an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And then what did you say just remind me, what are they doing with this extra saved time?
They're working. So they
Oh.
found that 40% of workers use the time they save to either work on a primary or secondary job.
You don't say.
Mm-hmm.
People are working.
Yep. And then the other 34% went towards leisure, and that includes exercise or watching TV. And then 11% went to caregiving for children or others.
Right. Which that makes sense.
Just life in general. But
The bottom line is that humans want to be productive. They want something to do. And if you give them more time, they will go fill that time with productivity. Whether it is taking care of themselves, which apparently they call that leisure time. I don't call working out leisure time, but I would, whatever article. But people will go work out. They'll go for a hike. They'll go for a walk. They'll take care of their kids. You're starting to see more people homeschool. You're starting to see this at-home type of culture that people are starting to build, thank God. And people are working remote jobs. Sometimes they have multiple remote jobs. And they're still being productive. So now that's the biggest question that I've got from people is like, how do I stop my employees from working second job? Pay them more? I don't know. Take care of them. Show them that you care. Is their productivity dropping? No. Why do you care that they're getting a second job? As long as it doesn't interfere with
your job, yeah.
their primary, who cares? But whatever. Some people are still stuck into this mindset. But
Right. I like the end of this article too. It says, number 1, remote work saves money. To sum it up. Number 2, workers spend less time grooming and getting ready.
Yeah.
Which is so true. I told you this
Yeah.
the other day. I was like, my favorite part is not having to put on makeup.
Right.
I mean, today, yes, but that's like once
today
a
you
week.
put on pants and got makeup
I haven't
on.
put
Yeah.
on like jeans
Right.
or done. my
I've started
hair or
getting
makeup.
dressed again because generally I wear PJ pants just all day. But I stopped doing that because I'm trying to get myself to like get up and move and
Right. In
and-
summer, I'm better because then I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll like put shorts and whatever on. In the winter, it's so hard though because you just
I know
wear, like,
you just want to be comfy and
sweatpants
it's like
and-
got your sweatpants on my hood.
stay
Like I'm wearing a
cozy.
hoodie. I am wearing these would be considered dress pants, I guess.
Roy told me I need new jeans.
Yeah, you got holes in those ones.
I told him they're my holy jeans. I wear
Your
them on
holy
Sundays.
jeans. You wear them on Sundays.
And that's
right.
Thursday.
That's
It's
adorable.
style, Grandpa.
Yeah. I will. Do I need to Venue some cash so you can afford
You
some
can Venmo
jeans
me
that don't
cash,
have
I
hole
don't
in it?
I'll gladly use them on jeans.
Origin jeans. But go check out Origin jeans. You don't have to do it right now, but they're made in America.
I will say another thing too is like
Do that.
when I go shopping, I don't have to shop for like work clothes anymore.
Yeah.
Which is like my age I used to do all the time. It's like
Yeah.
when I would have money to spend on things, I would buy work clothes. And
Yeah.
I'd never buy anything for myself.
Save money.
And now I just
You can eat at home. You don't have to go get your coffee at like a coffee place. I mean, it's a no-brainer, and we've been saying it for forever. And I'm glad that articles are starting to put it out there, and you're starting to see it more and more. But
It's so true on the makeup thing, though. Like,
makeup's expensive, apparently.
makeup's expensive, and I would always run out of makeup wipes. Like, I'd always have to be like, I'm running out of makeup wipes.
Because you're
But now,
now you're good.
it's great.
How about that?
I know.
Just make your makeup last longer, which saves money. So
It does. It adds up. And then the third thing here was working from home gives people more autonomy, which,
Yeah.
duh.
obviously,
But then they're happier.
our mission was to make sure that every parent was home for dinner. And so our vision of that, to have a complete family, we believe that to have the family demographic and dynamic, rather, not demographic, the dynamic of the family that is that dynamic is built around the dinner table, sharing stories, interacting with your kids, being there together. And so how do you do that if dad is still at the office at 6 o'clock or stuck in traffic for 2 hours? You can't do that. Or mom is away on a business trip or visiting the office, or, you can't do it. So remote work, and everybody's home for dinner, and you're kicking it.
The
And
one lady I
homeschool.
saw today, she was like, do you miss, like,
Hell no.
talking to people? I was
Hell
like,
no. That was our neighbor.
Right. Because I was telling her what I used to do. We were just talking. She was like, do you miss it at all? I was like, no, I don't.
I don't miss it. Are you kidding me?
I was like, I see Roy and my dogs.
I told her, I was
I'm
like,
fine.
yeah, we just decided that this was a waste of time and money. And she's like, yeah, I know, but I just love the social aspect of it. And you're like, there's nobody here.
There was nobody there.
What social aspect are you missing? You're in a room by yourself. She had the office next to ours.
She said she liked to switch. Like, she was
Right.
a little
She's
bit
like,
different.
I
She
got
liked
kids
to
at
divide it.
home, right? Is that what she said or whatever? She's like, my family at home, and it's hard for me to work at home, and I get
Some
that.
people are like that.
I get it. You want your space.
But me, I would rather be sitting with my dogs and...
Right. She wants her focus time, and I get it.
Right.
Some people are like that. It's not for everybody, I guess, but do we hit all of them? We did it?
That was all of them.
How
This was a
about
good
that?
one.
This was a good
hour.
one. Well, guys, low code, no code, invest in it. Go to online365.academy if you want to learn more on low code, no code platforms. I did an entire training. It's multiple videos, lessons through the lessons plan of how to become a Power Platform developer, or power user, I believe is what I called it, which we're going to add continuous on there. We're going to do introduction to DevOps, I think is our next one that we're releasing. We did an introduction to administering Microsoft Teams. We have a SharePoint one that's coming.
Business communication.
So we got a lot coming. So go to online365.academy. Guys, thanks for listening to the podcast. Make sure you are watching us on YouTube. We do have that platform where, like I said, we invested a ton of money and time and effort. And Sydney's down here before the show, plugging things in and moving wires around. And I'm driving her crazy.
You're not. I'm trying to learn.
Well, you're doing a great job. And we're but we have a lot go on this video. So go watch us on YouTube. So it's all for naught. Otherwise, you can listen to us on iTunes, Spotify. You can go to goworkwherever.com. At goworkwherever.com, you also find all kinds of different resources to help you implement some of the things in the technology that we're talking about here. There's also a way that you can go just click and work with us. And you'd be like, hey, you know what, Roy? I don't really care about learning all this stuff. Why don't you come do it for me? We can do that for you, too. So, guys, thanks for hanging out. Until next time, Sydney, got anything?
No, leave us a comment if you want us to talk about something.
There you go.
Love it.
Sydney will answer you. Till next time, guys. Hey there! Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for all the latest videos from Capital Presence.